Thank you. Thank you, Conference. Conference, let's hear it again for Labour's newest MP, Michael Shanks. Michael, I know you'll be a champion for all the people of Rutherglen and Hamilton West, but actually I owe you another thank you, because you have helped me deliver a promise that I made to Conference last year. Last year, I told Ian Murray that I couldn't promise him more friends, but I could make sure we got him more colleagues. So it's nice to see we're ahead of schedule. Because that result, which has shaken Scottish politics to the core, is the type of result that Ian Murray, Jackie Baillie and I have been working so hard to achieve. So to our fantastic Shadow Secretary of Scotland, Ian Murray, and to my brilliant Deputy Leader, Jackie Baillie, thank you. Conference, on Thursday night, we made history and we changed the face of Scottish politics. The tectonic plates have shifted because the people of Rutherglen and Hamilton West have spoken for all of Scotland and sent a message to two failing governments. They want an end to the incompetence, an end to the chaos, an end to the division, an end to the politics which pits community against community, pits Scot against Scot, and puts the status quo before change. And they voted for change, and they voted for a party that will give Scotland its future back. Because, friends, Scottish Labour is once again the party that speaks for the hopes and the aspirations of the people of Scotland. Labour, the party of change in Scotland. And when I spoke to Conference last year, I said the route to Downing Street and to a UK Labour government that this country so badly needs ran through Scotland, and that I believe Labour MPs in Scotland would be the ones to put us there. Now, some of our opponents laughed, but I'll tell you something, they aren't laughing anymore. I am so immensely proud of the campaign we ran in Rutherglen and Hamilton West. So to all the staff, activists and volunteers who made our seismic win possible, thank you from the bottom of my heart. But let me make this promise. This is just the start. The best is yet to come. Because we know this was a result that wasn't weeks or months in the making. It was years in the making. And I reflect back to when I became leader 2 years ago. Scottish Labour was 32 points behind the SNP in the polls. People were talking about Scottish Labour's survival, not its revival. But 2 years on, we've gone from 32 points behind the SNP to winning our first parliamentary by-election for over 12 years, from a 32% deficit to an over 20% swing to Labour, proof that Scotland will lead the way in delivering a UK Labour government. But friends, the change we've seen in Scotland would not have been possible if over the last 3 years, Keir Starmer had worked to change our Labour Party. In that time, we've gone from our worst results since the 1930s to now being seen as a force that will finally rid our whole country of this rotten, lying, out-of-touch, corrupt, far-right crankfest, conspiracy theorist-ridden Tory government. Thomas, you know there was a time when Labour feared elections in Scotland and the SNP relished them. No more. Scottish Labour, now the party focused on Scotland's future, the SNP focused on the past. Scottish Labour, the party that believes Scotland's best days lie ahead of it, the SNP talking down our country with no hope for the future. So today it's the SNP and the Tories that fear elections, Meanwhile, Keir and I have just one simple message on behalf of our whole party. Bring it on. You see, that result showed something that I've long suspected, and that I imagine the SNP have long feared. The cracks in their foundations are deeper and wider than they've ever recognised. And while senior nationalists have lined up in TV studios to blame the voters, they have missed the point. Just like the Tories before them, they've made the mistake of thinking politics is a game. But I've got a message for them. Politics isn't a game. Politics is about service. It's about working hard and delivering for our communities. It isn't about the same old constitutional fights and asking people to pay more for less. It isn't about failing to support our public services and trying to blame somebody else. Politics, Labour politics, is about changing people's lives. And it's about delivering a future where everyone can live up to their potential. Fundamentally, it is about serving the people of Scotland. That's what the SNP and the Tories have forgotten. And it's that failure to stand up for Scotland, that failure to put country before party, that has seen people turn their backs on them. So now no SNP MP can sit safely taking their communities for granted, as so many have. So I say to Hamza Yousaf, this isn't about swings or the polls. This is about putting the people of Scotland first. And because you won't do that, Labour can now beat the SNP across Scotland, because every community can now choose change. Change with Scottish Labour. The conference, we've had a lost decade under the SNP and the Tories, which has held Scotland back. We face a cost of living crisis created by the Tories' economic incompetence. A mortgage bombshell from the Tories costing families over £2,000 a year, made worse by the SNP's obsession with raising taxes on working people. And an NHS emergency with record A&E and cancer waiting times, lives literally put on the line because of SNP incompetence. And the people of our country shouldn't have to pay the price for Tory and SNP failure. Across Scotland, that's why people are demanding more. Conference, there is a tide coming, and it will sweep away politicians who are out of touch and out of ideas. So I say to the parties of the status quo, to the parties of chaos and division, don't be surprised when the tide of change comes and it sweeps you away. Conference, I want to speak directly to people outside of this hall, to people who voted for other parties or who even voted yes in the past, but who are now looking at Labour. I understand your frustration. I understand why you are desperate for change. I understand why you wanted to run a million miles away from this Tory government. But I believe we can work together to put them out of Downing Street, because the next general election is an opportunity for change. So the hard work that we have shown doesn't end with a by-election win. If anything, it ramps up. Because the promise I make to you directly is the same energy, hard work, and humility that we've shown in the last 2 years will continue to show, so we can earn your trust, earn your support, and change our country in the process. And that change will be transformational. A Labour government will deliver a new deal for working people across Scotland and the whole UK, one that will raise the minimum wage to make work pay and end the scourge of in-work poverty, that will end the scandal of fire and rehire. And while the SNP use zero-hour contracts to deliver their election leaflets, our new deal will ban exploitative zero-hour contracts and deliver the biggest expansion of workers' rights in a generation. And we'll build a country where economic dignity can't be taken away with a stroke of a Tory minister's pen, because we will all have a share in it. So while the Tories are in climate denial, we will jumpstart the energy revolution, delivering lower bills, more jobs, climate leadership, and energy security. That will deliver clean energy by 2030, supporting 50,000 high-skilled clean energy jobs, all powered by GB Energy, a publicly owned energy generation company headquartered in Scotland. And we'll reform our public services, ending the non-dom tax status to invest in the NHS so it's fit for the future. And crucially, we will bring honesty, decency and integrity back into government, because that's the change Scotland needs, and Labour will deliver it. So, conference, the last year has seen Scottish politics and our party transformed, but our work is not done yet, nowhere near done. In fact, this is just the start. So let's take our positive message of how we will work to deliver for working people, for every community across our country. Because now there is no doubt, there is only one party of change, only one party that can transform lives, only one party that will make every corner of our country flourish, only one party that will stand up for working people, only one party that will deliver the brighter future we need. That party is Labour. Conference, change is coming. Let's go out there and win the future together. Thank you. Thank you.
Conference, Scottish delegates will have smiles on their faces for a very long time. We are going to move the agenda on, and I'm going to hand over to my NEC colleague, Abdi Douali.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, conference. My name is Abdi Douali, member of the NEC in the CLP sections, the first black man on our NEC. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, conference. Our second mission plenary of the day is making Britain a clean energy superpower. To start the debate, it's my pleasure to introduce our Secretary of State, our Shadow Secretary of State, and soon-to-be Secretary of State for Energy Security and Net Zero, Ed Miliband.
Thank you very much. Abdi, thanks. And can I start by thanking my ministerial team friends, Sarah Jones, Kerry McCarthy, Jeff Smith and Alan Whitehead, and it is a pleasure to follow my friend, our brilliant Scottish Labour leader, Anas Sarwar, everyone. Friends, we meet here with confidence that there is a spirit of change in the air. We meet here with the conviction that we, Labour, are on the side of the British people once again. And we meet here with the belief that we can bring the long, dark night of Tory rule to an end. Now, I'm sure, like me, you saw the Tories last week. I have to say, watching it, even for the Tories, I couldn't believe some of the nonsense they were coming out with. Delusional stuff about 7 bins, They may have talked about banning smoking, but I have to say to you, I was watching it wondering, what on earth are they smoking at that Tory conference? Listening to the Tories, friends, it's clear they just don't get the fundamental struggles people are facing. A deeply painful cost of living crisis, a deeply entrenched economic crisis, and a deeply dangerous climate and nature crisis. But let me warn you, friends, Rishi Sunak has a desperate and dishonest new line, that if we dither and delay in tackling the climate crisis, we can somehow solve our economic problems. Well, let me tell you, he's wrong. He's dead wrong. Their record says it all. Their record says it all. Your energy bills have rocketed because they didn't build a clean energy future for Britain and they left us exposed to Putin's war. They banned onshore wind and energy bills went up. They cut energy efficiency and bills went up again. And just last month, they trashed offshore wind, the crown jewels of British energy, and bills will stay up for years to come. You see, every time they turn their back on a clean energy future, they leave us exposed to global fossil fuel markets, at the mercy of dictators and petrostates, and they drive up bills and make us more insecure. And even as you're paying record bills, they still refuse a proper windfall tax on the oil and gas companies. So what the Tories call green crap is not the cause of the cost of living crisis. It's a crap government that never stands up for working people. That's Britain's problem. And when Rishi Sunak tells renters they should be forced to live in damp, cold homes and landlords don't need to insulate them, that won't cut bills, it will raise them. When he tells the world that Britain is backing off the global clean energy race, that won't encourage businesses to create jobs and invest here, it will drive them away. So you see, friends, the Tories' climate culture war is not just anti-planet. It's anti-security, anti-prosperity, anti-worker, anti-business, anti-jobs, anti-future, anti-young people, and it's anti-Britain, and we're not going to let these Tories cancel our country's future. Now, Rishi Sunak tries to spin that he's still committed to tackling the climate crisis. But look at the people celebrating what he's done. Jacob Rees-Mogg, Liz Truss, and to top it all, Donald Trump congratulated him. But there's a very important lesson here. The British people don't want a pound shop Republican Party.